Episode 30H. Audrey and the Labour Party contribution to an Australian climate change bill amendment. Audrey noted that an Australian Guardian article was written examining the Australian Labour Party and Green Party contributions to the Parliament Climate Bill amendment, adding that burning native forest wood waste for electricity shouldn't be classed as renewable energy. Labour and Green senators on a committee that has been looking into the climate change bill have called on the Senate to pass the legislation. A Labour-led committee has recommended the government consider changing a controversial law classifying electricity from burning native forest wood waste as renewable energy after the Senate votes for its climate change legislation. The use of wood left over from logging for power generation is opposed by conservation groups, which say it is an incentive to keep felling native forests. The introduction of a transition authority to help communities affected by emissions cuts has been strongly backed by unions and the Greens. Coalition members of the committee released a dissenting report that said the government's consultation process had failed to properly account for rural and regional perspectives, and the bill would invite Green activists to abuse our legal system for political purposes, challenging what they class as high-emissions projects. The committee report coincided with the release of the national emissions data for the first quarter of the year. It showed carbon pollution increased 1.5% over the year to March, mainly due to the easing of COVID-19 restrictions. Emissions across the year rose by 7.4 million tons, reaching 487.1 million tons, due to increased pollution from transport, manufacturing industries and agriculture. Pollution from electricity generation continued to fall as coal power was displaced by renewable energy, but that drop was more than cancelled out by increases elsewhere. The climate change minister, Chris Bowen, said it showed the coalition had no climate or energy policies and had relied on the pandemic and drought to cut emissions. National emissions were 20.6% below 2005 levels. Most of that fall was due to changes in the pace of land clearing and the decline of the forestry industry. Emissions across other parts of the economy, particularly fossil fuel industries, but also farming and waste management, were down only 1.4% since 2005.